Good day. Welcome. This is your Daily Med with Lady V. Grace and peace be multiplied. Today we are looking at the book of Job, and we will see what the Bible tells us about suffering. If we look at James chapter 5, verse 9 through verse 11, it says, "Do not grumble against one another, brethren, lest you be condemned. Behold, the judge is standing at the door. My brethren, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord as an example of suffering and patience. Indeed, we count them blessed who endured. You have heard of the perseverance of Job and seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and merciful." So, yes, we know that God is a compassionate God and that He is a merciful God. When we have our children, they are never tired of asking questions. And we find why, why, why. A lot of times they ask the question why. And so questions produces a bitter taste the older we get. Children wonder about everything. Adults will wonder about suffering. We notice that the world seems to run by a system of cause and effect. Yet there are some effects for which we can't find a clear cause, and some causes that don't lead to the expected effects. They're expecting, oh, because of this cause, this is what is the effects, but not always so. We would expect Job's wealth, his large family, to give him a very happy life. And for a while, I imagine they did. But the loss and the pain he experienced shock us when we read his story in the book of Job. The first two chapters of the story are more than sometimes we can bear, and imagine it's not us. So to those so quickly to ask why, and many times we do for the smallest things, the smallest misfortune in our lives. God, why me? God, why this is so? God, couldn't you tell me or tell somebody to tell me? Job's faithfulness seems incredible when we look at a few misfortunes that we face and ask why. But even Job had something to learn, and certainly we can learn from him also. You know, we live in an age of instant everything, and it has caused us to lose the ability to be patient, the ability to wait. We expect to learn patience, but instantly. And in our hurry, we miss the contradiction of all that we want now. Relief from pain is at the top of our list. No suffering. But remember, the Bible tells us we have to suffer with Christ to reign with Him. We want an instant cure for everything, from toothaches to heartaches. So, although some pains have been cured, we still live in a world where many people suffer. and will continue to suffer. Job was not expecting instant answers for the intense emotional and physical pain he endured. But in the end, what broke Job's patience was not the suffering, but not knowing why he suffered. When Job expressed his frustration, his friends were ready with their answers. They believed that the law of cause and effect applied to all people's experiences. Their view of life boiled down to this: good things happened to good people, and bad things happened to bad people. Because of this, they felt their role was to help Job to admit to whatsoever sin they thought in his life was causing his suffering. Job actually looked at life almost the same way that his friends did. What he couldn't understand was why he was suffering so much when he was sure he had done nothing wrong to deserve it. Nothing wrong to deserve such punishment as it were. And so we find that his last friend Elihu did not offer another explanation for the pain. All he was saying, I'm pointing out to you that God might be allowing this to purify you, Job. But this was only partially helpful, because what? God finally spoke, and he did offer Job an answer. He didn't offer Job an answer. Instead, what he says, Job, it is better to know God than to know the answer. And so we find God driving that point home to Job in the book of Job. Job, it is better to know God than to know answers. So often we suffer consequences for our bad decisions, consequences for our bad actions. Job's willingness to repent, his willingness to confess known wrongs, is a good guidance for us. He is saying, just perhaps, just maybe, I have committed a sin. Sometimes suffering shapes us for special service to others. Sometimes we know for sure that our sufferings are attacks by Satan on our lives. And sometimes we don't know why, like Job, we suffer. All those times, are we willing to trust God in spite of unanswered questions? We find that Job was a man of faith, a man of patience and endurance, known as a good, generous, and a caring person. We also know that he was wealthy. But we find his mistakes and we find his weakness. He allowed his desire to understand why he was suffering to overwhelm him and to make him question God. Remember the lesson we learned from his life. Knowing God is better than knowing answers. We know that God is loving. We know that God is caring. And pain is not always punishment. We see his occupation. He was rich, So it means that not because we are rich, we are not going to suffer pain. We know he had much livestock. He was a landowner. He had 10 children. All good things were going for him. But as James says to us, my brethren, take the apostles who spoke in the name of the Lord as an example of suffering and patience. Indeed, we count them blessed who endured. You have heard of the perseverance of Job and seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and he is merciful. So as we continue to take a look at Job, God bless you. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe. It is free. Like, share, also comment, and continue to visit my YouTube channel, Daily Med with Lady V.